Hey y'all, hey, we are back for another review of Sisters. We're on season 7, episode 15, entitled Love Means Never Having to Say Goodbye. Very long title compared to some of the others, but either way, we're going to jump right into the review. We pick back up with Jordan catching, quote unquote, Ethan with the picture of him and Andy. Jordan appears to be angry that he has the picture, but doesn't notice that he has bugged said picture. And he turns around and he breaks character. He busts out laughing like, oh, I'm just playing with you, like, you know, whatever. He came back to he forgot his wallet, so that's why he truly came back. They're sharing a laugh. Whatever. And then Andy shows up with breakfast and he has to, you know, pretend to not be pissed with her because Ethan is present, and goes so far as to cancel his workout with the guys because he wants to have breakfast with his girlfriend, blah, 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 whatever. And I guess that may be to save Facebook again because Ethan is there, but whatever. Either way, we're back at the salon and Pam asks Karen if she, curved Trey for real. Like, do you really mean it when you curved him? Like, or are you just playing hard to get? Like, she's trying to gauge what Karen feels about Trey, because it's given she feeling him also, and she want to see, you know, what the pulse is on her friend. And then she asks Karen, like, hey, would you be mad if you saw him dating someone else? And Karen assumes, oh, you about to hook him up with one of your little ghetto friends. And Pam is like, no, that's someone else. It's me. I'm talking about me. I'm trying to shoot my shot. And we're trying to figure out what's so funny, Karen, because girl, what is it about me that you think Trey wouldn't be interested in? And so of course we'll get back to that. All right, so Zach has just put Michael on the bus and he's less than happy because he's still not talking. And Fatima reminds him, like, hey, the therapist and the psychologist have told you that, hey, it's going to take him a little while because of all of his trauma and everything that he has had to go through with Heather being his mama. And so he suggests that one of us, he didn't volunteer himself. He said, hey, I think that one of us should take Michael to school every day, you know, because he can't talk and he really can't defend himself, and I don't want him to be picked on the bus and all these wonderful things. That makes great sense. But what immediately came to mind for me is that you are adding even more to not only your plate, but Fatima's plate, even though y'all already agreed for him to ride the bus. And Fatima reminds him, like, hey, you know, that school is 30 minutes away, and with both of us working when it comes to Zach, quote unquote, that's gonna add more to our plates, and we already agreed to have him ride the bus for the same reason. And so again, that tells me that, hey, you are not thinking about Fatima, which is up in the air, because I mean, you are, but you aren't, but you are, but you aren't, because you suggest something that's going to add more to her plate while simultaneously attempting to take things off her plate, as we see later on in the episode where he makes dinner and she doesn't have to do it for once and all that stuff. But I don't know. I don't know if he's going to be able to balance it, because he is probably a I want a traditional woman type guy. It's giving that, but also trying to support her independent goals and aspirations. It's confusing me. I don't know where he truly stands in this thing. Either way, they get through that, and that's over for now. But like I said, the major takeaway that I got from that is you are potentially adding something to Fatima's plate, because you didn't say me. Mind you, Zach doesn't have a traditional job. He doesn't have a traditional work hours. He kind of makes his own schedule. You know, you have more flexibility when it comes to an hour round trip. 30 minutes going and 30 minutes coming to take Michael to school. You have that flexibility in the mornings. But again, you suggest one of us, and we know one of us is normally Fatima when it comes to taking care of Michael. So that is going to be a problem, and it's going to be annoying in the future. Either way, maybe not, because they did talk about the nanny, but that's further on in the episode, and we'll talk about it. We're at the bank, and Maurice and Sabrina are eating lunch because he does not want to eat with the rest of the staff, because he's trying not to show his ass and flip out on everybody because they're staring and they're gossiping about him being back at the bank. And he just doesn't want to be bothered with that. And he asked her how her sperm donor journey is going. She's not making much progress because, you know, the pool of black men that are sperm donors is very small. All she really has to choose from is white men, and she's not feeling it. And I give you the fist bump of righteousness for even looking for a black baby daddy, but you can't find one. So Maurice has a suggestion. Maurice suggests that Calvin be her potential donor, and she's kind of taken aback at the suggestion. I don't know what y'all think about Calvin being the sperm donor. I just feel like he's just not going to be a donor and, hands off. He's not going to donate and leave, like the Salvation Army. He's not that kind of guy. He's going to want to be present, but I don't know. All right. Andy is, she's sitting there and she's talking to Ethan while Jordan went outside to tell the boys that he's canceling or whatever he went to do. Can't quite recall. Either way, she's learned about Jordan, and he tells her that he graduated from Emory. I guess that's a prestigious school. And she mentions one of her cousins. Well, no, Jordan mentions like, hey, did he tell you he graduated from Emory and all these different accolades and things that he has? Mind you, I don't know if he really does have these accolades or if he just made them up to become a spy for Gary. Maybe, both could be true. He could have the accolades and be a spy, but I don't think that to be the case. And this scene confirms that because she mentions one of her cousins that graduated from the school around the same time, and he was very popular on the campus, and he worked for the newspaper. So it's kind of a person that you should probably know. Maybe, kind of, sort of. And he plays it off to not being very social during his time on campus, and that the campus being very large. And Andy kind of picked up on it, but kind of didn't want to make a scene about it. I noticed it immediately, like, she probably caught on a little bit, but we'll see how that develops. Either way, he plays it off or whatever, and then now he has to go in the office to finish doing, the spy work on Gary and Hudson, as Jordan has asked him to do. And the second the door closes, Jordan immediately turns the resistance to Andy. He turns it back on. And she profusely continues to apologize about not telling him about Penelope's reservations about Gary and what they were working on together. And he doesn't care. He feels like it doesn't matter what Penelope wanted. You should have told me. And I, for one, do not agree. Those are two adults having a conversation or plot or a plan about yet another adult. And just because you are my brother and we came out of the same vag does not mean you are privy to my adult conversations with my adult friends. It just is what it is. I mean, I know you feel a way because now she's missing, but the visceral hate that you kind of shown for Andy is unwarranted, and it is also misdirected. Either way, she continues to apologize or whatever, and then she asks him, like, how can I fix it? Like, how can I fix it? Like, I've apologized a million times. What can I do to fix it? He tells her that you can't. There's really nothing that you can do to fix this. And since we're here, I'm going to add insult to injury and tell you that, listen, actually, I'm not going to have a whole lot of time to focus on you and the campaign until I really know what's going on with my sister. So, sounds like a pseudo breakup, which also turns by the end of the episode as he shows up to offer her dinner, but we'll get to that when we get to that part of the review. Either way, we have a little pseudo breakup that is happening because he don't know who to trust. He don't know what, how to wrap his head around Penelope being missing. Understandable, but again, a little bit misguided when it comes to how much angst he's giving Andy. Okay. Ethan calls Gary and tells him that Jordan wants dirt on him and Hudson. And he tells him, okay, give him just enough, just a little bit to satisfy him. Don't give him anything too juicy, keep the game going. And then he also tells him, listen, I was able to plant the bug successfully. And he's like, okay, good. Now I've gotten Andy's house bugged and I've got Jordan's house bugged. And so now I can hear all of their conversations. And I thought Andy had one of the guys from Fuego from All the Queen's Men. She had him come through there and sweep the apartment, and he didn't find a bug. So maybe Gary doesn't know that yet, or maybe there's multiple bugs. Not really sure. What do y'all think about that situation? And then he calls Tamara to set up an appointment with her, and before she can get through the conversation, Hayden comes walking out, which the girl could barely get dressed, and she could barely wait for Hayden to go off to work, and he comes walking out. She hurries up off the phone, and she claims that it's her aunt Mabel and she needs to take her to a doctor's appointment, whatever. And then she calls back after Hayden leaves, and now she's trying to shake him down in exchange for her hot box. Tells him, the next time you want to see me and we want to get busy, it's going to cost you. And so that's going to play out throughout the episode as well. All right. Sabrina kind of acts like she wants nothing to do with Maurice's proposal of Calvin being her sperm donor. And Marcia's like, if you're worried about little Miss Becky, girl, don't worry about that because they're no longer together. I saw his little single relationship status update on the book, child. And so, that's not a worry. I can make it happen if you want. And, we don't get a solid answer, but I feel like she might pursue it because she does go on to ask Karen about it later. All right. Danny shows up at Zach's place and she is there for some advice from Zach. Now this scene was weird because out of all people for you to ask advice from, Zach is going to be the last one on my list of people to ask. Either way, here we are. She asked him for the best way to apologize to Tony, to tell him that she is sorry. Whatever. Pam asked Karen, why was it so, what was so funny? What was you snickering and giggling about when I was talking about me asking Trey out? And Karen doesn't think that Pam may be his type. And Pam thinks that Karen is trying to call her a little bit too hood, a little bit too ghetto adjacent. And Pam goes on to eat Karen. Oh, she ate her up in the scene. And it gave me so much joy. She ate her up because she said, listen, the only difference between me and you is that I'm not pregnant with twins by two separate men. And if we win the scales of hood and not so hood, I'm a little bit less hood to you in that aspect. So careful on the giggling. And then Karen tells Pam, like, girl, I don't want to smoke. Like, she backs out of it. She's like, no, I'm not judging. No problem. And then she says, oh, if you think you can snag Trey, go for it. Like, you have my blessing. Have at it. And it was one of those blessings that was like, girl, I know you're going to fail, but go ahead and fail so you can prove me right type of blessings. Like, go for it, girl, even though she doesn't think that it's going to happen. Even though I feel like Pam, Pam got the mojo. She's a little bit annoying, but I think she might be able to pull Trey. And when she does, Karen is going to be back in her bag about it. And it's going to further piss me off because, girl, you gave your blessing. So not too much on the anger, but it's going to happen. So let's just prepare ourselves. All right. Andy and Hayden are in a meeting with Miss Willis. And Hayden has had his people look up some stuff, and he was able to find some real estate in his mama's name, some prize-winning horses, and some Swiss bank accounts with some money in it. And he feels like, oh, my research is thorough. Miss Willis, you found you a lot of things. We're good to go. And Andy pulls out her own set of findings as well. And she has found way more assets than Hayden was finding. And it turns out it was to the tune of $75 million in NFTs. And NFTs beats me. Google it. Don't really know. I'm thinking that's like electronic currency. But again, I don't really know. That's outside of my tax bracket. But Miss Marie she's very impressed with Andy. Andy has been able to tip the scales back in her favor, and we're good to go. She's been able to save Miss Marie a ton of money in this divorce. And she's skewed the curve to her, and this time she has a little bit more favor with Miss Willis by coming to this great conclusion of this, having this wonderful finding. Okay, Zach tells Danny, like, in order to apologize, she needs to cook a butt-naked meal or a thong meal, whatever it is, for her man and offer him praise and worship by way of getting on her knees. Fill that in, right? Confirming men to be ever so simple in this one scene. And then she was like, okay, Zach, thanks for the advice. Thanks for no thanks. Then she asked Fatima. But Zach says, girl, don't ask Fatima because she don't never apologize. And Fatima was like, well, that's because I'm really ever wrong. So what is you talking about? And then Fatima tells her, like, girl, if you want to smooth things over, just simply tell him how you feeling. Apologize if need be. And that is going to suffice. So again, you really didn't even need that information, but here we are. All right. Sabrina stops by the salon, and she's there to invite Sabrina to an early lunch, because she wants to talk about the baby shower, but even more, she wants to talk about Calvin. Either way, before we get there, the only requirement that Karen has for her baby shower is that there's no drama and there's good food. I don't care what y'all do after that. Then she asks her about fixing things with Danny so she could participate in the baby shower, whatever. And Karen is like, listen, I'm not having it. If she don't fix her attitude, I don't want nothing to do with her. And then she asks Sabrina, listen, Sabrina asks Karen, like, hey, would you let the next be your sperm donor? And Pam is, of course, eavesdropping and being nosy and calls Sabrina the Rose Nylon. If you watch the Golden Girls, you know who Rose is of the group. And it was so funny to me because she is the Rose Nylon of the group. Now, I don't know who Karen is when it comes to, you know, the Golden Girl comparisons, but Sabrina is definitely the Rose Nylon. Maybe. I don't know, because Andy's giving a little bit of Rose tendencies as well, but whatever. Who do y'all think Karen is when it comes to, you know, relating her as one of the Golden Girls? Sabrina tells Karen, listen, both of my exes are both of my twins' baby daddy. We already got the answer. We already got the answers to the question, don't even matter. And then she tells Sabrina, like, listen, it don't really matter what I think. You go do what you want to do. You're an adult. Pretty much, girl, I don't care. I don't care who's your baby daddy. For real, for real. All right. Gary is texting Tamara and telling her, don't be ignoring me. I said set up an appointment for this D appointment and don't play with me. Like, he's talking to her real aggressive, and it may have turned her on in the past, but now that he's confirmed like he ain't got no feelings, it's pissing her off. And so she's deciding to play hardball, threatening to tell Hayden excuse me, about them. And Gary appears to be, he acts unfazed. And then she sends him a video of them two hunching and getting down and dirty as a proof that she'll do it. And now he is beginning to spiral all over again. And in this moment, I realized that Gary got a lot going on. I probably realized it earlier, but it irritates me. You got the FBI, you got Penelope missing, you got Fatima trying to, you know, cut you from ear to ear. We got the cops. We got you harassing and like damn near stalking Andy. You got bugs planted on Jordan and Andy. And now you are being shaken down by Tamara. Like, there is a lot of things that you have going on. And how are you not frazzled? How are you not out of your mind? I don't know. But it's upsetting me and my homegirls that you have so much going on. And we know that this isn't realistic, but again, here we are. All right. So Danny is trying to make small talk with Tony, and he is paying her dust, which I guess he still has an attitude about the way that she handled the situation with the baby girl in the handcuffs. Whatever. So, whatever. All right. Hayden decides that he's going to go to Gary and complain about Andy. Do you know what she did? Like, she undercut me, blah, 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 blah. And then they end up complaining about Tamara. And he tells Gary that he's very suspicious of Tamara. You know, she's always on that phone all day, every day. When I come in the room, she jumps out the phone. She cuts it off. And Gary's like, well, do you think she, you know, do you think she's sneaking out? Do you think she's tiptoeing out the door? And he's like, I don't know what she's doing, but whatever it is, it's in that phone. Check that phone. It's in the phone. So, you know, I don't know if Gary doesn't look concerned, but if he does get in that phone, that's going to implicate you. And now that she's threatening you, like, I'm confused because Gary should not be worried because he don't really give a damn about Tamara or Hayden. Like, there's really no risk associated with it unless you just don't want to add one more damn thing to your list of shit crap that's going on in your life. I don't know, but he shouldn't be worried because he don't really care about neither one of them. So who knows? All right. Jordan shows up at the office to apologize and to move forward. And then he decides to bring Andy dinner. And I don't know what that's about because for the last 2 episodes, you have been horribly pissed at her. And there is no progress in the status of where Penelope is or what's happening. So I don't know if he's trying to like keep her in good graces because he really thinks that she has something to do with it. And he wants to kind of snoop around and figure out what she knows. I don't know, but it was very hasty, in my opinion, and kind of ill-placed because you were just pissed at me this morning. Like, your little speech didn't convince me that you got this major revelation. So I don't know what y'all think about that. Let's talk about it in the comments. Okay. Aaron shows up at the salon. He has more baby stuff. He shows up with this high-dollar stroller that he thinks is going to be, you know, amazing for her and the twins. And she seems upset because it feels like he's making the decisions for her. And I can see that. I can see that being a problem. I can see that. But then she goes on and she's yelling and she's screaming while her and her mom are standing there trying to go out to get some lunch. And she tells him, like, listen, you're doing too much. You're doing, like, really yelling at him or whatever. And he finally takes, Zach's advice, and he decides to like drop some testosterone and tells her like, listen, all I want to do is help you, and you keep giving me pushback. He tells her like, listen, you act miserable and you blame everybody else for your misery, when in fact the person is the mirror of the person that you need to blame. And I agree. He says, I love you, Karen, but I will no longer tolerate your sour outlook on life, and I also won't let that sour disposition affect my relationship on those twins, my child and the one that's not. It just ain't gonna happen. Like, you need to figure it out. I'm not gonna let you drive a wedge between me and my child. I'm here in support of you, whether you like it or not. And then he storms out. He's like, keep the stroller, get it together. For the first time ever, Aaron decides, like, I'm going to just drop these cojones and let you know, like, girl, you pushing, and I'm trying to help. And I don't know why. Like, you never had nobody be good to you? Like, what's the problem? And Miss Lisa told her, like, girl, you might want to take a look. You might want to listen to what he said and take it into consideration. And it's given same. Like, you agree with what he said, but you don't want to post up. You don't want to get that same energy to your daughter. Like, hey, he's got a point. No shade, no tea, but the boy's got a point. So, yeah. All right. Fatima gets home and Zach has already taken care of dinner. He's already put Michael down for a nap. And it appears that he is lightening the load. Again, it appears that he's lightening the load. But let me know what y'all think. This is my theory. I think he's taking the lighter part of the load to lighten, if that makes sense. Because her issue is she doesn't have time to study because she's bathing him and fixing dinner and doing all this thing. Like, he's lightening the load. He's fixing dinner. Like, you're home all day. An hour out of 24 ain't a lot of lightening. Not only that, you gave him a bath. He's your son. Bathe him. Like, the things that you are considering a favor are things that you should be doing anyway. I don't know. That's just me. That's just me. Because then earlier in the episode, he says that one of them, he doesn't specify himself or Fatima, one of them needs to take on the task of taking Michael to school every day. Taking him and picking him up from school every day because he's afraid of him being picked at on the bus. And that could very, very easily fall into Fatima's lap. That's heavier than fixing dinner, in my opinion. So I don't know. I don't know if he's trying to lighten it, or you just want it to appear as if you're lightening, or you truly don't know how to lighten the load because this is a new experience for all of us, for all of y'all. I don't know what y'all think. I just feel like it ain't really very much lighten. Like, okay, you want to add a car rider situation for the school setup, which, again, that's an hour out of my morning, or that's an hour early that I have to take out of my schedule, or wake up an hour earlier. Again, your hours are non-traditional, so it would be better feasible for you to do it. But again, the way that this thing has been going, it's going to become Fatima's cross to bear, and that's, again, going to take away more time for her studying, which is what she needs to be doing. Okay. And then she goes on to tell him about the nanny idea that she got from her friend Angela. And he appears to be on board because he thinks, oh, he's going to have a cute little nanny tiptoeing around the house in some kitten heels. And she tells him, no, sir. No, ma'am. She going to be like Nanny McPhee. It's not going to be what you think it is. It's just not going to happen. And so maybe the nanny is going to be the solace that both of them needs. However, they're going to have to agree. One, there's a couple obstacles. They're going to have to agree on the nanny. That's one. For two, they're going to have to pay for the nanny. And considering a good chunk of Zach's money has been taken in that investment that you had with Gary, money's tight. I don't know. It might work out, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Okay. Danny busts into Tony's office to smooth things over. She's like, listen, we got to just smooth this thing over. He's still attempting to be mad, but she's apologizing about how she handled the situation, and tells him that he has to be patient with her. This is all new to her. She knows that they're a package deal, but she's now willing to see through it. She's not going to return the package to sender. She's going to see it through. And all of that is well. All of that is fine and well. But again, if there's an apology to be made, it is not only on Danny. Tony, you have some cards. You have some skin in the game as well. And I think a mutual apology is owed. That's just me. Because again, you made an assumption, or you expected her to do something that wasn't relayed. She did the best she could with the information that she was presented with. it was a little issue. But also, tell your kids to stay out my stuff and maybe less issues. Also, you know, as well. Either way, she's trying to fulfill her promise. The second half of Zach's advice, you know. And his wife or ex-wife, Tiffany, walks in her ABUs, BDUs, whatever particular form of military uniform that she's in. It appears to be Army. That's unfortunate. That's just some Air Force, you know, Army humor. Either way, she walks in her uniform, and now this gets to be her first impression of Danny. And let's mind you that Tony's kid's first impression of Danny was her walking in there with her boobs to the wind, you know, trying to be spontaneous with him. And so now this is the wife's first impression of Danny, and we're going to see what kind of back and forth they're going to get into. Shouldn't be much, because he says she introduced herself as wife. Tony introduces her as ex-wife. And so, girl, you might not even have no skin in the game, but we'll talk about it next week. Either way, we see that next time Ethan is going to be drugging Jordan. So that's going to get very serious. And we also see that Rich is going to freak out about Sabrina being on her birth control. And for me, this needs to go ahead and be done. Y'all, we're going to play it out and see how it was going to work. It ain't working, because this man is about to have a full-on panic attack every time that you guys are intimate. So we need to go ahead and wrap this up so we can go ahead and get Calvin back in the scene and we can move on. I can deal with Calvin's, well, can I? Can I deal with Calvin's particular brand of annoying more than Rich's? I think I can. I think I can deal with it. That's the evil I know, so we'll go with it. Either way, that's been season 7, episode 15. Let me know what you think about the episode. Let's talk about it in the comments. Like, comment, share, subscribe, or whatever it is that you feel like doing, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.